This is a 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness, an all-wheel drive station wagony small SUV with 9.5 inches of ground clearance and way more off-roading prowess than you'd expect. My name is Robin Warner, an experienced engineer and magazine editor, and I want to tell you more about it. The Outback Wilderness is, in a sense, towards the top of many trims available on the Outback, but it is the one and only model with more ground clearance, a modified suspension, and 17-inch all-terrain tires. So really, it stands alone and stands tall. Beyond height, the Wilderness stands out with redesigned front and rear bumpers, hexagonal grille, hexagonal fog lights, which are also located in a higher and more central location on the bumper, larger wheel well arch cladding, and window trim with black finish. Oh, and a front skid plate, which you might actually need, you adventurous so-and-so. Powering this double take on wheels is a 2.4-liter horizontally opposed turbocharged 4-cylinder engine producing a peak output of 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. That power is then channeled through a continuously variable transmission and onto all four wheels. The base price for the 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness is $38,120, and my test car cost $39,965. For those that are interested, I included detailed specifications including dimensions, fuel economy, and options in the description. All right, let's go for a drive and then take a look around the car. Oof. Hi everybody, this is the 2022 Subaru Outback Wilderness. Now, what does wilderness mean? Wilderness means that this is an Outback with more off-road capability than any other Outback out there, and also a lot more capability than you'd ever expect. And this is a little bit different because I'm on a trip with Subaru, and Subaru wanted to tell me and also show me what the off-roading capability of this car really was. So I took this car on an off-road course. And on this course, I went up and down gravel 40% grades. I went through super tight air passages. I hit some pretty darn sharp heaves and tight breakover angles, approach angles, departure angles, all these kinds of things just to show me how well this car can handle off-road stuff. And I think the point isn't that this should be your off-road vehicle you take to Moab instead of a Jeep. The point is that the Subaru Wilderness is way more capable than you'd ever expect it to be, which means if you want to go a little bit farther, get a little bit closer to the trailhead, you can do that. Big part of this video is going to be me driving really slowly off-road in this car, and I'm going to do the best I can to show you what it's like to do this. I am not an experienced off-roader, and I am not aspiring to be an experienced off-roader either. So take a look at what it was like to off-road this thing, and then after that I'll walk around the car, show you what it's like from there, and then let's talk just a little bit more about what this car is like to drive on-road. I am on a trail, an off-roading trail, and it's because Subaru wants you to know that the 2022 Outback Wilderness can do proper off-roading. So this car, much like the Crosstrek Sport, has a dual mode X mode, and that is currently in deep snow and mud. And so that's going to give me more slip to get up this gravelly hills when the gravelly hills get steep, and it's going to give me hill descent control when I need to use that. All right, so now it's time to go up a 40% grade, 40% gravel hill grade, and I think I'm just gonna go because this looks mighty steep. Oh my God, I don't like the feeling of this. Where am I supposed to go? Okay, and now I'm going down, and it feels like I'm going straight down. Feels like I'm going on a gravel roller coaster in slow motion, and holy God, do I not want to do this. My God, the anti-lock brakes are straining for this, and I can understand why. Back up we go. Slipping, but still going. And down we go. I'm not touching any foot. I'm just letting the hill descent control do its thing. It looks like I'm at between 2 and 3 miles an hour, which I will happily take. And, you know, slow and steady. Slow and steady doesn't win the race necessarily, to be honest, but slow and steady certainly does keep you alive. And I like being alive. You don't think of Subaru and extreme off-roading, but, you know, these are some pretty serious, you know, approach and departure angles. And I find myself looking at the front view camera an awful lot because there's a lot here where you cannot see over the ridge. And it is, I mean, just bluntly speaking, it is frightening. Man, this is a totally stock Subaru Outback Wilderness. And so far it's managing everything just fine. So it's cool that this car can do this. I'm of the ilk of, why would you do this? It's like, great, but you've got 2 feet and you can walk to some super beautiful areas, and you always know where to put your feet, right? It's remarkable how little you can see out of the windshield when you're doing these things, as opposed to looking at the front view camera, which does make you wonder, how do people do this without a front view camera? This is obviously, anyone that knows me knows that I'm not the off-roading guy, and I think this is probably just clearly displaying this, because this is probably, for most people, pretty tame stuff, and for me this is absolutely plenty. But I mean, the Subaru, I'm perfectly comfortable. The Subaru is handling this just fine. I know that Subaru made sure their car could do this before they gave it to me to try, but I also know that I wouldn't intuitively assume that the Subaru can do this. So that's where you have to give kudos. This isn't the Moab, but this is serious stuff. And I'm basically in a tall station wagon, handling it just fine with stuff from the manufacturer. And, you know, there's a little bit more wind noise and road noise than ideal on the highway, on the interstate, but, you know, it's totally fine. It's totally acceptable. So pretty cool that you know that you have one car that can go down the interstate, take you where you need to go, and then simultaneously climb up hills like this. Whoa, okay, yes, improved breakover angle. I've not heard any massive scrapes yet. So here you are. You can get yourself into some adventurous places and feel relatively confident that you can also get yourself out of them, and that's cool. All right, so my foot is off the brake, and I'm going 40 degrees down a gravel hill while turning left, and I am not falling. I have not fallen yet, but you can hear the anti-lock brakes are going nuts. The anti-lock brakes have a lot of work to do here because we're tracking at 2 miles an hour, but 2 miles an hour is plenty fast for me going down a 40% grade. So racetracks have blind entry sometimes, things like that, but, you know, once you get through it, you know where the next place is. This is one thing after another. People, why would you do this voluntarily? There are paved roads and you can go fast on them and do cool stuff. Man. All right, what's next? I'm going to turn the camera on again. This front view camera is proving a very, very valuable tool for me because I like seeing. Whoa! That was a little unnerving. Hopefully everything's okay. I just want to tell everybody, roads are cool. You should check out roads. But again, I mean, just objectively speaking, the Subaru is handling all of this. This is much more than I would have guessed you'd throw at a car like this. the fact that it's handling this as well as it is with a, you know, a 4-cylinder engine, a CVT transmission, and, you know, unit construction. Obviously this isn't body on frame. You know, there's a lot of just inherently you wouldn't think of a car like this when you think of going off-roading. So it's cool to see that it's capable and handles it just fine. All right, we got a steep hill, and then I'm sure there's going to be a steep drop. Oh goodness, that was steep for a moment, and then no big deal. Woo! All right, and back over some normal stuff that I'd be like, yeah, Subaru could do this. And I think we've come to the end, and we've come to the end in one piece. Hey, 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 look at that. Okay. Off-roading in a Subaru Outback Wilderness. Impressed. Normally when I do a walk around of the car, you see my garage in the background and little things like that. And normally when I do it, the car isn't quite this dirty, but I'm also normally not at an off-road course more than an hour from my house. As you can see, this is just not the normal settings, and this is not the setting you'd expect to see a Subaru either, but this is the Subaru Outback Wilderness, which means I have 9.5 inches of ground clearance instead of 8.7. I have some different cladding over the wheel arches. I have a different bumper, different, more inset and higher up fog lamps, and the fascia, everything's tucked in to kind of give a little bit more protection, better approach, breakover and departure angles. I even have a skid plate down there, you can see. This is a Subaru family car, family SUV that is built to handle some pretty darn respectable off-road. Hence the name Subaru Wilderness. I have 17-inch wheels with Yokohama Geolandar all-terrain tires. I have strong roof rails that is good for a 220-pound load dynamically, that's when you're moving, and a 700-pound load when you're just standing around, which is good for most above car tents, which is pretty slick. In back, you can see there's similar treatment. You know, that's a unique bumper, and those are bronze coverings for tow hooks, things like that. You do have dual exhausts, but there's nothing fake about those. Those are just nice, proper tailpipes under there. It does ultimately come from a single pipe that you can see down there, which you can also see is pretty darn muddy. I just finished an off-road course in this thing where I went up and down 40% grades that were gravel, and this is a bone stock car here. And I have to tell you, I don't understand why people like doing this, but I'm impressed that you can. And because I'm at an event, I'm not at my house, I can show you that this is what you can do with the Subaru. You can have a pop-up tent above it. That's your 700 pounds of static load right there. That's the tent and people in it, no problem, which is pretty clever. All right, let's take a look inside. I'm gonna actually start in back here. Of course, you still need luxury features, right? Automatic power tailgate, and then privacy for your luggage. You do get a rubberized mat here for easy cleaning, and you can see the seat backs, which obviously fold down. Those are like a more easy to clean vinyl. And then this is a fairly big car, so you've got plenty of passenger space in the second row. You also have heated seats and charge ports, and as you can see, as I'm sitting, I've got good thigh support, plenty of knee room, and reasonable width. It wouldn't be perfect for 5 people, but if you only have 2 passengers in back, they get cup holders as well. Moving to the front, again, this is a lot messier than I like doing this usually. You know, you can see my Yeti coffee case, which has tea in it, and you can see more rubberized flooring that has gotten a bit muddy. And then this is the StarTex material Subaru uses. Is more durable to handle getting dirty, and then more easy to clean. You see lots of little things like this, the Subaru Wilderness badge, things like that. I'll get out of the wind. And here we are. Get real gauges to look at right there. And this is fun. This is a tablet style, vertically mounted 11.6 inch center console screen with all kinds of different settings, including this off-road setting that will show you what the transmission is doing and what angles side to side and fore and aft that the car is handling, which is pretty impressive. You do get heated seats, climate control, all those kinds of things. This also, just like the just like the Crosstrek Sport that I drove a little while ago, you have dual mode X mode, which is basically allows more wheel slip and higher wheel speeds, lower ratios to get good torque multiplication, to get up things like 40% gravel grades and things like that. Real volume knobs, real tuning knobs, and just a general outdoorsy feel. Yes, you do get a moonroof, you do get a place for glasses, you do get the usual bits and bobs over here, stuff here. There's a lot going on here, plenty of places and ways to charge things, good options for center console storage. So yeah, there's real appeal here in having a more off-road capable Subaru if you're into that type of thing. I am not. And after experiencing it for the first time in a car like this, I'm impressed by it. The engineer in me really likes seeing the capability of this car and seeing those approach and departure angles tested a little bit. But man, gotta tell you, roads are great. Anyway, let's go driving on the road a little bit and experience the car that way. Cool, right? I mean, that was nuts, right? But okay, even for the most hardcore off-roader, even for the person that does think, oh, maybe I do want to take my Subaru to Moab, most people are going to be driving most of the time on road, right? The vast majority of people. And the good news here is that because you have 17-inch wheels with taller sidewalls and you have more suspension travel and more ground clearance, that means that this car, the Outback Wilderness, has a really pleasant ride on the road. So even if you live on a pockmarked, bumpy, lumpy road, you're going to have no problem in this car. It's super comfortable and cushy. The downside with all that sidewall travel and suspension travel and the more off-road capable tires, these are Yokohama Geolandar all-terrain tires, is that road noise is higher than average, and also because of the extra ground clearance and the nice roof rack and things like that. By the way, it has a really nice roof rack, huh? Wind noise is a little bit higher than average as well. So you are sacrificing some on-road pleasantness to have more off-road prowess. The good news is it's not that bad. Now, there's another downside. You're also going to lose a little bit of fuel economy. Subaru did some intentional things to change the gearing of the Outback Wilderness compared to other Outbacks. So the CVT transmission has a different range of gear ratios, and it's tuned differently, and the differential has a higher, it's 4.44 to 1 instead of 4.11 to 1. So that means the engine's going to be spinning faster for any given wheel speed. So you're going to lose a little bit of fuel economy as a result. This one does 22 miles per gallon in the city, 26 on the highway, 24 combined, and that's a couple off of the other Outbacks. So here we are cruising on the highway in the Subaru Outback Wilderness, and this is where the car suffers just a little bit. You get a little bit more wind noise, you get a little bit more road noise, but there is an advantage to the new gearing that they gave the car. So this is a 2.4 liter horizontal 4-cylinder engine, a flat 4. And with the gearing, you get good punch And even though it's a CVT, you get good response. This is definitely one of the better CVTs out there. So it's 260 horsepower, 277 pound-feet of torque, and it's a pretty darn quick reacting transmission. So if I hit it, you know, that's good punch, and I'm getting good pull as it happens. No, it's not going to blow your socks off. No, it's not going to win any drag races, but it's plenty peppy for what it needs to be. And in fact, this car, not only can it do all this off-roady stuff, it can actually tow up to 3,500 pounds. So, you know, you have a lot of diversity in what this car can do for you. You can have a lot of different kind of adventures and still enjoy yourself. It is all about, you know, finding your niche. And Subaru, like I said in my Crosstrek Sport video, is just so good at that. And the niche here is for the people that really want to have something that's durable, they can take on trailheads, they can fill it with gear, they can put a rooftop tent on it, they can do whatever they want. And if the need comes, they can also go pretty far off-road themselves. That's an impressive combination of things to have when you have a car that is also perfectly pleasant on-road. Is it as good as other cars out there? No, but for the people that are interested in this car in the first place, you're very willing to make some sacrifices to be able to go places and do the things that we just did. Now, who would want to do those things? That's a different conversation, because that is not for me. But I have to say, I came away very impressed with the Outback Wilderness. I'm Robin Warner. Thank you for watching. And if you are still watching, I'd really appreciate it if you took the time to like this video and subscribe to my channel. All right, goodbye. Whoa, okay, yes.